Girl, you can't fix him. And yes, this has two meanings. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we are reviewing Send Help, directed by Sam Raimi, starring Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. This movie follows an employee and her insufferable boss who become stranded on an island where the power dynamics between the two swap in order to survive. And I'll of course be getting into spoilers for Send Help, so if you haven't had a chance to watch it just yet, definitely go check it out, especially if you're a fan of Sam Raimi, thrillers, or just a damn good time at the theater. So for those of you who have watched the film already, let's get into it.
You are stuck with an asshole boss, just like I was. Don't ever mistake my kindness for weakness.
So the first thing that I have to mention when it comes to this movie is the fact that it is 100% a Sam Raimi movie. And if you're like me and love the campy and abrasively fun tone that he brings to his movies, his horror thrillers in particular, then you'll have a blast with this movie. I felt right at home as a fan of his Evil Dead movies, but also as a fan of shows like Lost or movies like Misery. Rachel McAdams in this movie is on something else. We meet her character LIDDLE as a very odd employee of this company at a point of transition in leadership. She was promised a promotion to help run the company, but when the owner dies and the leadership moves over to his son Bradley Preston, played by Dylan O'Brien, that promise is quickly thrown away. But not only does she lose her chance at a promotion, she also loses a ton of dignity as Bradley takes the form of every terrible boss or just man in general that you've ever met. He is dismissive, condescending, he is disgusted by every aspect of her odd food choices in the workplace, which, to be fair, she was a bit of a mess in regards to that, but this still doesn't justify the outwardly insulting behavior he has towards her. And because this is, of course, Sam Raimi, he sticks us in his perspective as this character has all the power in this dynamic at this point in time by hyper-focusing on the tuna stuck to her lip during their first interaction. And the amount of time that we spent with the pre-island dynamic was just perfect. It gave us just enough time to despise Bradley, but also root for Linda to get the glow up that she's about to have once they do crash on this island. And once that happens, Linda's obsession with the show Survivor kicks in, and McAdams really gets to let loose as this character. If the events that happen off this island had a balance of 70% serious and 30% camp, then those dynamics also swap as soon as we settle with Linda taking the lead on this island. She does so much to help Bradley survive his injuries from this crash while also setting up a top-tier survival camp. The joy she gets from the little things like starting her first fire to using leaves and coconuts to gather fresh water from the rain was just delightful, and her hunting the boar highlighted the true fight she has in her for survival, along with all the darkly humorous ways that she will show how in control she really is. But as Bradley becomes conscious and attempts to take back control over the situation by making demands of his caretaker, the darker side of Linda becomes to be more clear. Like Kathy Bates' Annie Wilkes before her, she can flip her kindness to cruelty in a moment's notice. Tell her that you don't need her to survive, she will leave you stranded with no food or water. Claim that you can set up camp just as well as she can, she'll watch you struggle to do the very basics while she lounges on the beach with her handcrafted leaf hat and her very own skin cream that she made, all while you wither away in the corner. And of course, it always ends up with Bradley crawling back over to her for help. And I just loved every single scene of him trying to get back on her good side, especially with the very ridiculous laugh or the whining that he does throughout this movie. Dylan O'Brien is very funny in all of these moments. The scene where he begs her for sympathies as she's about to feast on an incredible sushi dinner was hilarious. So much satisfaction is to be had as she throws back some of his more cruel tactics of control that he displayed earlier on in the film, but just before she goes too far with these hints of cruelty, she always backs off last second in order to show that she is not like him. And for a minute, they really begin to get along. They start to work together, they make toilet wine together, and reminisce on stories from their past, including regretful behaviors that they displayed for one another. And I think their chemistry here was kind of hinting at maybe not a romantic thing between them, but definitely a friendship that could possibly last forever. But of course, they're both lying to each other. So if this power dynamic shift and reconciliation was the whole arc of the film, that wouldn't be nearly as fun as what Sam Raimi had in store, as Linda's life on the island is much better than her life beforehand. There have been several moments up until this point where Linda could have gotten them off this island. She ignores a boat offshore and suspiciously tells Bradley not to enter this section of the island, which we find out later is inhabited by some rich guy and his mansion. And I'm sure some will begin to dislike her at this point in the film, but for me, that is when this movie firmly took its place in the good for her subgenre of horror. And that's mainly because every single time that Bradley tries to escape, he has to somehow get back at Linda in some way. He can't just let things lie. He can't just run away. He has to get back at her. He could have just made his raft and tried to escape in the middle of the night, but no, instead he went out of his way to cook Linda this nice meal of dinner, but he of course laces it with poisonous berries and attempts to kill her while he runs away. This then led to my favorite sequence inside of this entire movie, as Linda, who is still struggling to recover from this poison, goes out of her way to save Bradley after his raft is easily broken apart inside of the waves and he begins to drown. And the best part is that she makes sure to puke directly on his face every single time that her body starts to reject this poison, even while saving him from drowning. It is absolutely disgusting and hilarious, and is exactly what Sam Raimi brings to the table. And to get back at Bradley, she temporarily paralyzes him with a squid and pretends to euthanize him, which had everyone in my theater squirming in their seats. Absolutely brilliant.
Although I'm betting I'm a much nicer boss than you ever would have been. Except for maybe this part.
As ridiculous as all of this sounds, the outrageous performances from Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien, mixed with the masterful balance of tone from Raimi, makes all of this madness work. The climax of this movie reaches an all-out brawl between these two characters, as Linda has a much darker side to her than we had seen up until this point. It was hinted at during the toilet wine scene that Linda was somewhat to blame for her husband's death. He was of course a drunk and always tried to go out in his car and drive away, but Linda always took his keys and prevented him from doing so. But one fateful night, instead of taking his keys away, she lets him drive off, and this led to this car accident that got him killed. So when Bradley's fiance shows up on the island and her time with Bradley is all but over, she of course leads her along with the poor innocent boat driver to their deaths at the top of the mountainous ridge she took Bradley earlier in the film. This time she doesn't just let them fall without saving them like her husband, she actively pushes them over the edge when they're about to pull themselves off the edge of this cliff. And this is where I'll concede a little bit in terms of saying that Linda did nothing wrong, because that one guy was totally innocent, but otherwise she did what she had to do. Good for her. But when Bradley stumbles upon his fiance's hand sticking into the sand like it was ripped straight from an Evil Dead poster, this then motivates him to confront Linda, which leads to the confrontation that they have at the climax of this film. And the only thing that I wish this fight had at the end of the film between Linda and Bradley is that an eye would actually get popped out of someone's head, because that is such a Sam Raimi thing to happen. And we came very close to that happening, but the film just didn't push it that far. But besides that, this brawl was scrappy and brutal and just incredibly satisfying. Bradley manages to escape to the parts of the island that he was told to never go, leading this confrontation to go to the mansion that Linda was hiding from him this entire time. And this is where Linda finally takes him out for good and takes his place at the top of the company, having had her glow up and learning to go the distance when it comes to standing up for herself, no matter how far that might be. I also do wish the film ended off on a freeze frame, but we just can't have it all. In terms of flaws for this movie, I think that the trailer really does show it all. There are obviously a ton of fun surprises along the way in seeing what these characters actually do to each other to push them over the edge, but the movie in general goes exactly how you think it would go based on that trailer. The movie really isn't anything more than what they were selling, but it lives up to every single promise that that trailer made. So predictability aside, I had a blast watching Send Help. It was such a fantastic reminder of the strengths Sam Raimi has as a filmmaker, and I really hope that he makes more films just like this, because this is truly where he strives as a filmmaker.
I don't think we should ever leave.
So those are just going to be my thoughts on Send Help. Did they live up to the hype for you as a Sam Raimi fan, or did the camp go a little bit too far? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you did enjoy this review, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to see more reviews just like this one. I've also been posting a ton of shorts here on YouTube, along with Instagram and TikTok, which usually go up before my full reviews. I did get a chance to watch Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die already, so you can see my thoughts on that film, along with a bunch of others on any of those platforms right now. All the links will be down in the description below, along with my letterbox, which will be the first place that I post my reactions to any films that I watch, so definitely give me a follow on there. The online portion of the Sundance Film Festival begins today as of uploading this video, so stay tuned for my reactions for a ton of upcoming films throughout this year. So thanks again for watching this video, and I hope to see you all in my next one.